The Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path of Buddhism. The Four Noble Truths are the truths of the Noble Ones. The truths are realities which are understood by the worthy ones who have attained nirvana. The truths are dukkha, the arising of dukkha, the cessation of dukkha, and the path leading to the cessation of dukkha. The four truths express the basic orientation of Buddhism. We crave and cling to impermanent states and things, which is dukkha, or in other words, incapable of satisfying and painful. This keeps us caught in samsara, the endless cycle of repeated rebirth, dukkha, and dying again. But there is a way to reach real happiness and to end this cycle, namely following the Eightfold Path. The meaning of the truths is as follows. 1. Dukkha, or incapable of satisfying, painful. Life in this mundane world, with its craving and clinging to impermanent states and things, is dukkha, unsatisfactory and painful. 2. Samudaya, the origination or arising of dukkha. Dukkha and repeated life in this world arises from tenha, thirst, craving for and clinging to these impermanent states and things. This craving and clinging produces karma, which leads to renewed becoming, keeping us trapped in rebirth and renewed dissatisfaction. 3. Nirodha, the cessation of dukkha. By stopping this craving and clinging, nirvana is attained, no more karma is produced, and rebirth and dissatisfaction will no longer arise again. 4. Magga, the path to the cessation of or liberation from dukkha. By following the Noble Eightfold Path, restraining oneself, cultivating discipline, and practicing mindfulness and meditation, craving and clinging will be stopped, and rebirth and dissatisfaction are ended. The Four Truths provide a conceptual framework for introducing and explaining Buddhist thought, which has to be personally understood or experienced. The formulation of the Four Truths and their importance developed over time when prajna, or liberating insight, came to be regarded as liberating in itself instead of the practice of dhyana. In the sutras, the Four Truths have both a symbolic and a propositional function. They represent the awakening and liberation of the Buddha, but also the possibility of liberation for all sentient beings, describing how release from craving is to be reached. The Noble Eightfold Path is an early summary of the path of Buddhist practices leading to liberation from samsara, the painful cycle of rebirth. The Eightfold Path consists of 8 practices: right view, right resolve, right speech, right conduct, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right samadhi, meditative absorption or union. In the earliest Buddhism, these practices started with insight, or right view, culminating in dhyana samadhi as the core soteriological practice. In later Buddhism, insight, or prajna, became the central soteriological instrument, leading to a different concept and structure of the path. The Eightfold Path teaches that by restraining oneself, cultivating discipline, and practicing mindfulness and meditation, monks and nuns attain nirvana and stop their craving, clinging, and karmic accumulations, thereby ending their rebirth and suffering. The Noble Eightfold Path is one of the principal teachings of Theravada Buddhism, leading to nirvana. In the Theravada tradition, this path is also summarized as morals, meditation, and insight. In Mahayana Buddhism, it is contrasted with the Bodhisattva path, which culminates in full Buddhahood. In Buddhist symbolism, the Noble Eightfold Path is often represented by means of the Dharma wheel, whose 8 spokes represent the 8 elements of the path. The 8 Buddhist practices in the Noble Eightfold Path are: 1. Right view. Our actions have consequences. Death is not the end, and our actions and beliefs have also consequences after death. The Buddha followed and taught a successful path out of this world and the other world. Later on, right view came to explicitly include karma and rebirth and the importance of the Four Noble Truths when insight became central to Buddhist soteriology. 2. Right resolve. The giving up home and adopting the life of a religious mendicant in order to follow the path. This concept aims at peaceful renunciation into an environment of non-sensuality, non-ill will to loving kindness, away from cruelty to compassion. Such an environment aids contemplation of impermanence, suffering, and non-self. 3. Right speech. No lying, no rude speech, no telling one person what another says about him, speaking that which leads to salvation. 4. Right conduct. No killing or injuring, no taking what is not given, no sexual acts. 5. Right livelihood. Beg to feed, only possessing what is essential to sustain life. 6. Right effort. Guard against sensual thoughts. This concept aims at preventing unwholesome states that disrupt meditation. 7. Right mindfulness. Never be absent-minded, being conscious of what one is doing. This encourages the mindfulness about impermanence of body, feeling, and mind, as well as to experience the 5 aggregates, the 5 hindrances, the 4 true realities, and 7 factors of awakening. 8. Right samadhi. Practicing 4 stages of meditation culminating into unification of the mind. Following the Noble Eightfold Path leads to liberation in the form of nirvana. In the words of the Buddha, just this Noble Eightfold Path, right view, right aspiration, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. This is the ancient path, the ancient road, traveled by the rightly self-awakened ones of former times. I followed that path. Following it, I came to direct knowledge of aging and death, direct knowledge of the origination of aging and death, direct knowledge of the cessation of aging and death, direct knowledge of the path leading to the cessation of aging and death. I followed that path. Following it, I came to direct knowledge of birth, becoming, clinging, craving, feeling, contact, the 6 sense media, name and form, consciousness, direct knowledge of the origination of consciousness, direct knowledge of the cessation of consciousness, direct knowledge of the path leading to the cessation of consciousness. I followed that path.